Well, I'm back to reporting almost full time, actually. So I just wrapped a piece for the New York Times a couple weeks ago. I'm working on a few more right now, basically still focusing on the same beat that I've been focusing on for years, which is sort of that place where culture and politics kind of meet, which is basically everything these days. So it's not really, as abstract as it used to be, I guess, maybe when I started.
And now, in the work you're doing and the work you have been doing, you seem to be specifically keen on the let's say the cutting edge of art and journalism. And why is that?
I really feel that art can explore abstract truths. And when it's paired with rigorous journalism, I think readers are able to understand a story in a way that's closer to how they experience the world itself. And that's very important because I think the way that news has been produced and is being experienced has in some way it's been kind of convulsing a little bit. It's kind of going through a very it's reinventing itself. But yet I do feel that art has a way of upending the way we typically see issues that affect our daily lives that is needed in journalism.
Can you give me an example?
Right. So one of the pieces that just was debuted on the Eyebeam Center for the Future of Journalism, which basically means, when I say debuted, it means it was supported by the center, was a piece that worked with an artist named Matt Hein and a journalist named Ben Mock for the New Yorker. And this was like the most ambitious, let's say, um, innovative sort of online experiential piece that the New Yorker has ever done. Essentially, what it is that Ben Mock is this unbelievable journalist who spent time reporting on people who have or were interned in the camps in Xinjiang. And what he basically did, and the piece was called sort of Inside Xinjiang's Prison State. The piece was accompanied by an immersive virtual reality documentary called Reeducated, which also premiered at South by Southwest and has went on to win quite a number of awards, actually. And basically, what it does is the article and the film examines the secret world of re-education camps in Xinjiang, in the region of China. And it's a site that's believed to have sort of the largest mass internment of ethnic and religious minorities since World War II. And in 2018, a year after the camps began to sort of crop up in the region, it was reported that as many as 1 million Chinese people, predominantly Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities, were held in captivity. And so, for this article, basically, the artist, Matt, worked with Ben to tell the stories of 3 men that were imprisoned in a camp in the city of Tachang.
If you stand in the center of the room, facing the door, you see a small, eye-shaped camera.
Behind you is another camera. Then here is a toilet. The beds were bunk beds. Here's a bed where I slept. I slept on the upper bunk.
If you look out the window, you can see the huge fence of the camp and a grassy area.
What's so fascinating about this is that nobody's actually able to go inside these camps, right? This is kind of one of those examples of it's ambiguous. It's kind of, we don't really know exactly. Maybe there are a couple images online, but the story itself is sort of still relatively obscured from the public. And so what this story did, and what Matt's work did in particular, was like it illustrated a very complex story that otherwise, you might read and you might not quite understand, or it might not, like, if you were to just read it, you might not really like understand the sort of the depth to which this program is being sort of enacted in China,
And
right?
now, as a user, you become part of it. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Almost as if you are there.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly what I'm
Right.
saying. Yeah. Yeah.
When you think of a project like this, what does it show to traditional media? What can they learn from it?
It shows to me, right, is that the potential impact that art can have on the world of journalism, right? Um, that like the two can work in a way that supports the other, and they aren't, in the way that traditionally you see art as a kind of illustrative afterthought, right, with stories. But here it actually worked to tell the story. And I think that with so many complex stories that are being told these days, I think it does help. I think it helps just sort of um, make the complicated more clear. And I think that's what this shows. And I think it shows it very, very effectively. And I think it demonstrates how it can be used again and again, this kind of method, this collaborative method.
Where do you think this crossover approach is leading?
Well, I don't want to get too deep into this boring subject, but the economics of it is where this could potentially prevent it from being more mainstream. They're not It's not inexpensive to produce these kinds of revelatory journalistic pieces.
Right.
Um, if I had it my way, I would say, can everybody just slow down and maybe not produce as much, but a little bit more concentrated and a little bit more ambitious? But, the internet doesn't really survive or function in that way. And so we're in it's a bit of a conundrum, right? But I think there are great examples of where this can go and the impact it can have. But the important thing at the moment is like trying to figure out a way to reconfigure the economies or the sort of budgets of publications so that they enable more ambitious, rigorous storytelling that does take more time, right? And time, we're often journalists, editors, publishers are time poor. How do we change that? I don't know. That's something I'm very interested in pursuing. And that's the thing that I really think about a lot with all of these projects of mine.